This evening, getting under the skin of the Ivy League, those 8 old, definitely distinguished colleges that are known for their ivy-covered buildings and their sometimes superior attitudes to other colleges and universities, which often gets under the skin of people who went elsewhere. Yale University is 300 years old this year, and were you to visit its campus, you would see that it still has exotic clubhouses, which look like tombs where Yale's legendary secret societies meet. Their prestige and importance have largely evaporated, but the rituals are still a secret. And so when we heard that some enterprising characters had managed to spy on the famous Skull and Bones Society, well, we couldn't resist. Here's ABC's Dan Harris.
The videotape provides a grainy glimpse into what appear to be the initiation rituals of a secret society that's been around since 1832, whose members have gone on to be leaders of Wall Street and the White House, the Senate and the Supreme Court.
They're sort of trying to scare the initiates, make them, disorient them, frighten them.
New York Observer investigative reporter Ron Rosenbaum accompanied a team of Yale students who shot these pictures 9 days ago. Rosenbaum's curiosity about Skull and Bones was permanently piqued when, as a classmate of George W. Bush, he lived right next to the Tomb, the group's heavily fortified home. From their perch, Rosenbaum and his cohorts taped the tomb's courtyard. What they captured, they say, was initiates, known as neophytes, being forced to kiss a skull, then members performing a mock killing. It may look like your average fraternity nonsense, but Rosenbaum says it's not.
Even though it may seem silly to us, it seems to mean something to them, and you can't argue with the success of Skull and Bones.
True. Famous alums include senators, John Kerry and John Chafee, to name 2, cabinet secretaries, such as Averell Harriman, and 3 presidents, William Taft, George Bush, and George W. Bush, who's been reluctant to talk about Skull and Bones.
Does it still exist? The thing is so secret, I'm not even sure it still exists.
In recent years, by many accounts, the on-campus influence and allure of Skull and Bones has waned dramatically, and there is no proof that the rituals recently caught on videotape are the same ones performed by the current president. Still, Rosenbaum says the tape is a valuable artifact, an extremely rare view into the secret society that groomed the American ruling class for generations. Dan Harris, ABC News, New York.
That's our report on World News Tonight. Don't forget Nightline. And
in fact, George Bush's family is full of Skull and Bones men, including his dad, George Herbert Walker, and his grandfather, Prescott. W. Bush also appointed 10 members of the elite clique to his administration. And check out how Kerry and Bush both responded when asked about the secret society in which they are brothers by the late Tim Russert of Meet the Press.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
As strange as their response is to any questioning about the uber-exclusive fraternity, what's even stranger is the rituals they perform inside. According to The Scotsman, a Scottish newspaper, initiates must masturbate in a coffin while recounting their sexual exploits, for which they will be rewarded with a no-strings-attached gift of $15,000. Wow, masturbating in a coffin must have been pretty awkward for Bush if his dad was present. Although little else is known about what goes on inside the tomb, it's widely reported that members, including George W.'s grandpappy, grave robbed the famous Native American Apache leader Geronimo, taking his skull and some of his bones. As if the Trail of Tears and genocide of Native Americans wasn't offensive enough, these rich mofos actually have bragged about desecrating his grave and doing God knows what with his skull. Vile. Sadly, the descendants of Geronimo have been trying to get his remains back for years and have actually filed a lawsuit against Skull and Bones on the 100th anniversary of his death. But the appeal fell on deaf ears, and Skull and Bones came out victorious. According to Yale Daily News, officials cannot be forced to permit Geronimo's descendants to remove his remains and relocate them. Because apparently it's perfectly okay to steal dead bodies as long as you never give them back. And if you know anything about Native American tradition, then you know how offensive it is to trap the spirit of Geronimo in such a dark and disturbing place. See, while this may seem like mere sensational fodder for tabloids, this type of behavior is actually indicative of the way the uber elite view the rest of us peons and their role in society. Because hoarding the world's wealth and controlling the political process just isn't enough unless you can brag about it to your naked coffin buddies.